Hey there, this is Alex Kluge. I'm here from Toronto Home Experts, and I'm really excited to share this video of my predictions for the Toronto real estate market in 2025. I'm going to get out my crystal ball and I'm going to share with you my thoughts of what to expect for 2025, and based on my many years of experience, and also some of the things that I'm seeing in the marketplace today, and where I think we're going to end up in 2025. Okay, so before we start, I wanted to have a disclaimer. I'm not a fortune teller. I certainly can't predict the future. This is for fun. I do this every year, and what I do is I share my thoughts where we are today and what I expect there to happen in 2025, or in that year, anyway. So this year, I'm happy to share my thoughts. And actually, if I look back at last year's video, I was pretty accurate on most of it, which was, I don't want to say surprising, but it was a little bit easier to predict in 2024 in the start of the year than it was in 2023. That was a market in great flux. But okay, so let's talk about what happened in 2024. Big, I guess, theme was interest rate cuts. So we started seeing interest rate cuts in middle of the year, and where we are now to we were back in June is that there's a 13% increase in affordability by buyers based on the fact that we see some these mortgage rates decrease. So we saw a bigger decline on variable rates than we did on fixed rates, because fixed rates are tied to the bond market. But really, what we did see is a return to confidence. I would say a little bit more confidence. I shouldn't say like buyers are out in full force right now, but the fall market certainly showed us that there was a little bit more buoyancy, or health, I should say, with the market. Now, by no means was the real estate market back in its bull market form, by no means, but we did see certainly some encouraging signs. So that is going to play a part of the theme for what I expect for 2025. So, okay, let's start. Sales volume. Sales volume, we were up, call it 2.6% from last year. So from 2023 2024, volumes increased modestly. And interestingly, we saw that the latter half of the year be stronger than the first half. And that's basically because of mortgage rates declining on the latter half of the year. So that helped instill some traction, and we saw an increase in sales volume. Now, there's these volumes are still at multi-year lows. Like, my prediction for 2025 is that we're going to see an increase in sales volume. Now, where are we going to see an increase? My suggestion is somewhere between 5 to 7% based on last year. So we're not calling for a very active sales volume wise. We're going to see an increase, but I think 2026 is going to be really the year where we're going to be better positioned to see volumes back to what we were expecting, or what we saw pre-COVID, like in 2018, 2019. Some of those levels is where I think we're going to come back to, but we're not quite there yet. It's really a function of where we are in the economy, what happens with mortgage rates. It's going to be one of the slides that we're going to talk about, and buyer confidence. Okay, so average prices year over year, they declined like less than 1%. So call them flat. So there's really no change in average price for Toronto real estate across all asset classes. So my prediction is for 2025 is that we're going to see average prices increase by about 3%. It's a pretty bold prediction, I think, especially considering where we were the last 2.5 years. But I'm gonna suggest that we're going to see an increase in average price. So that's going to help, primarily because we're going to continue to see mortgage rate declines throughout the rest of the year. Okay, so region predictions. This is where I would talk about what markets may be healthier than others, where markets within the GTA that may perform better than others. So, here's really where I think that And I said this last year, and it was effectively true. And I think this is effectively, I use that in quotes because it wasn't like a standout winner. But what I said was the 416 was going to lead the real estate market in 2024. And that was true. I mean, we saw the 416 market was healthier than that of, the surrounding, suburbs like, York Region, Durham, Peel. Like we saw Toronto was a little bit healthier than those other markets. So it's not really like an out there prediction, but I do think we're going to see somewhat the same continue because we're looking at when we look at some of the sales and some of the activity that's happening in the 905, it's there's some weakness there, right? And I think we're going to see the 416 lead that market as we go through 2025 this year. Okay, so freeholds, I think, is going to be the asset class that is going to be performing the best. I know, again, this is not a super bold prediction. I actually did say last year that condos was going to lead the market, which was incorrect. But I do think we saw certainly, especially in Toronto, some of the what I call like entry level freehold neighborhoods performed very, very well and were quite competitive for most of this year. So I'm going to see that continue stronger as we go throughout the year, especially as we see continued mortgage rate declines and affordability ease throughout the year. Okay, so months of inventory, we saw an increase because supply increased rather sharply throughout this year, and that was primarily because of condos. Like we did see a large increase in supply for condos for sale, specifically downtown. So downtown market, if you're a buyer, it's actually a great market to buy. If you're a seller, not so great. The rental market is struggling a little bit, actually, which is quite interesting. We're not seeing the same level of demand for rent. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic that's going to play in 2025. Like, are we going to see continued weakness in Toronto condos? I think probably the first half, yes. And then second half, I think, I'm a little bit more optimistic about that market. But yes, so months of inventory, I think will decline for 2025. We're going to see, not a significant change in months of inventory, but I do think we're going to see a lot of the inventory be absorbed. So what is months of inventory? I should have explained this at the start of the slide, but it's basically the supply of available properties for sale, and it's divided by the number of sales in that given period. So if we see an increase in supply of properties for sale and the sales volume remains the same, that means months of inventory is going up. So because we saw a large supply increase in the latter part of the year, that played a part in months of inventory. So I think we're going to see by the end of 2025, we're going to see a decrease in months of inventory, similar to levels of probably where we were in 2023. So it's a pretty sharp decline, I'm predicting, and that's what I'm sticking to. So we're going to revisit these at the end of the year. So let's see if I'm right. Okay, interest rates. It doesn't take a bold prediction to say this, but we're going to see rates decline this year. And so my projection is that on the variable rate side, we're going to see 125 basis points decline for this coming year. Okay, so I've been reading a lot of economists that I value their opinion, and I do read a lot. They range anywhere between 100 basis points to 225 basis points. So that's 2.25% decline in the variable rate. I've seen like that range. I'm going to be a little bit more conservative, which is what I said is 1.25% decline in the variable rate. So that would bring variable rate mortgages, down to the, 3 level, like mid threes, call it, which would be, a pretty big drastic change to where we were back in, call it May of this year. So I'm seeing variable rates decline pretty significantly this year. Fixed rates, as I said earlier, are tied to the bond market. So that's a little bit stickier, and that's a little bit harder to predict. But yes, I do think we're going to see, assuming, macroeconomically, there's not any massive changes. I know we're seeing Donald Trump inducted as the president today, actually, when I record this video. So are tariffs coming in? What's going to happen to the economy? Like, these are all massive questions that I can't predict. But if we're seeing basically the status quo, which I sort of feel that we might, in terms of where we are with our Canadian economy, we're going to see fixed rates come down a little bit. So yeah, I do think we're going to see fixed rates going to be in the threes by the end of high threes by the end of 2025. Okay. So my final prediction of 2025, everyone knows when I record these videos, I always do a fun sports prediction. I'm going to do another sports one this year. I usually get them wrong, which is why I was a little hesitant to do it this year. But so here's my sports prediction for 2025 is that the Buffalo Bills are going to win the Super Bowl in 2025. So, as you know, I've gotten a lot of these sports predictions wrong. It's a pretty bold prediction, but I kind of feel that this is the Bills' year, and I feel that they've got to get past through Kansas City next weekend, so that'll be a big test. But after that, I feel pretty confident in the Bills' chances. So I hopefully I haven't jinxed all you Bills fans out there, but I remain hopeful that this could be the year. It would be great for all the fans of the Bills. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning into this fun predictions video for 2025. I look forward to revisiting a lot of these towards the end of the year to see where I was right, where I was wrong. But anyways, this is just for fun. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. But these are my thoughts downloaded onto this video for what I expect this coming year. Anyways, thanks again for tuning in. And we will see you next month for our January market update videos we release later on in February. Thanks so much, and have a great day.